Hello, my loves. Today we're going to dive into some of the things that are coming through connected with the Divine Masculine Collective as they are being released from their old karmic roles. And of course, this is a process. We're seeing it on a world stage, but we'll also be seeing it in our communities, our connections, and our families and such. So we're going to talk about this today. But I also wanted to let you know really quick with this stream that's been coming in as Divine Feminine is really starting to prepare to settle into her new role, and these energies that have been coming up with the core soul wound and the inner child stuff. I just posted a deeper video around how the twin flame divine counterparts work together in tandem in the energetics on healing the core soul separation wound, even while they're actually in physical world separation. Of course, this video is simply intended to support you, your perspective, or sort of having a deeper understanding of what you've been experiencing. I don't believe it's something that you necessarily have to know for it to be occurring, but I'm good at looking at seeing and understanding things in the energetic realm. So when I'm guided to, I like to share those for those of you who would like to partake and sort of absorb that and see what resonates for you. I have that over on my Patreon, so I'll drop that in the pinned comment. And again, we're going to go deeper into this topic with the masculines. So, one of the things that came through on that message, and that has been a theme I've talked about here on the channel, is that the masculines are very much holding space in the shadows during these processes so that the feminines know where to work, where to heal, where to clear out the old karmic toxic patterns or codependency, really drop into her healthy energies in where she's learning her standards and holding that space for the highest timeline potential, right? But she's understanding how to navigate that based on the signals and information that the masculine is sharing with her. And in that process, as she's going through her transformation, a lot of times it'll look like the masculine went back to what he was doing. But what's happening is he's actually holding that space for her to go through her transformation. And as she's released from that old role, her old patterning, and she's healed and stabilized enough in her new and embodied within her true, more authentic self, right? And she's working with those energies and she feels stable and in the states of unity, consciousness, and unconditional love, where she can handle and trust her masculine is doing exactly whatever it is that he needs to be doing. This signals to the masculine that he can now sort of thaw out, open up, retrieve himself out of the shadows, and clean up and clear out his karmic patterning and codependent energies that he's been experiencing in the physical world, because now he no longer has to hold that mirror for the sacred feminine. I talked about this in my video way back in December about divine feminine surrender. And as we've been going on, we've been getting more and more and more confirmation around these dynamics and how they are always working, again, like I said, in tandem, even when it doesn't necessarily look like it in the physical world. Your soul, your higher self knows exactly what is needed. Okay. So I feel like it's very, very, very important to start out by honoring and thanking and appreciating the divine and sacred masculines for their willingness and their strength and their courage to take on this role. And I know a lot of times they do sort of go into a frozen mode or what appears to be a shutdown mode, but they're still going through their own experiences. And even here on the channel, we've had several masculines step up and express that they're healing and that they're very aware of these processes. And they're aware that it is their purpose to hold space and hold a container for the feminine to go through her transformation, And even recently, we had one on the video comments yesterday. So thank you for sharing that. And we do appreciate your presence here and on our planet and for holding that space for the feminines to level up into the new so that now we can hold space for the masculines to go to his next levels. Okay. All right. I'm going to just dive into some cards with this today. I do feel like it'll be probably a combo of me. Oh, that was a whole bunch. But for some reason, I feel like I'm supposed to take those. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I had three that fell. Oh, wow. Okay. Upside down. But I feel like that is significant because it's detox, repairing the body, mind, and spirit, empty well, time to replenish, and spiritual narcolepsy, fallen angel. Okay. So we're going to start here because the masculines have been in this exact, when they're going through that space where they're holding it in the shadows, they very much are embodying what seems to be a fallen angel energy. I've actually had this conversation with multiple feminines, and it is part of what happened during the fall. They forgot who they were. They went into a state of forgetfulness, almost like an amnesia of sorts. Okay, they forgot who they were, how powerful they were. And what has been happening is that there has been this sort of emptying out and detoxing process that is making space for them to remember who they actually are. And I feel like these cards are sort of doing a dance, and the fact that they were upside down is speaking to me about how this is like in process. And I can tell in the energetics that there's a version of this, and I'm sure the feminines can relate in their own way as they've processed their own ego deaths and risen to their next levels, that there's multiple things happening. You're sort of waking up, you're cleaning out who you were, you're detoxing your old toxic patterns, you're embodying into the new, you're feeling these moments that maybe the new you isn't quite fully embodied yet. So things feel very empty. And you sort of go through these levels and layers of transformation. And it feels like the masculines are in this process. And this Wailing Tree Reconciliations card also fell on the floor, but in a separate, this one came right up instead of upside down. So this to me is signifying through all of this process, all of this transformation that's occurring, the masculines are processing and grieving the loss of the connection. But this is actually the loss of the old version of the connection. But what this is doing is it's actually opening up the truth of who they are, which makes way for the truth of the connection. And this is where, even though it's like their version of the dark night of the soul, and I want to get some messages for this because even the masculines who have been here, that have been doing their healing work and holding the bigger container, you guys are at the forefront of this process for the masculine collective. And so, what I'm sensing is that there is another wave coming, that many of you are stabilizing for the bigger collective, but that you are also still being called to hold a space as more and more of the general collective go through this ascension transformation process. And as I'm saying this, I feel that many of the masculines are going to be called, the ones that have been leading and working are going to be called to support other masculines that are going to be going through this in deeper and more ways. Okay. This is coming forward quite significantly for those of you that resonate with that. And it feels almost like, as I'm saying it, I can feel something in the back of the sacred masculine heart space that's wanting to open up. I can feel sort of like a wanting to do it, but also a bit of a hesitation. And it feels like this is an important pocket for those of you who resonate with this part. You don't have to have it all figured out, because I also know masculine energies want it grounded, want it stable. You want to know what's coming and what's expected of you. This is actually where you're going to go into trusting more and more of your higher self and your intuition and calling on that feminine flow. Okay, this is where you're going to be going to the next levels of your co-creation process with just simply start by allowing yourself to open up to the potential of sharing your process and your wisdom and your experiences with other masculines. You don't have to know exactly how it's going to look just at this moment. What I just saw a vision of is for any of you that feel called, you could get a notebook or a sketchbook and just start to write out ideas without judging it, sort of a blueprint, planting your seeds, but you don't have to do everything on the list. You can sort of just start to sketch out some ideas if that resonates. Notice what you're comfortable with. Notice what puts a smile on your face and lights your heart up when you think about it. Ponder your process and what you have been going through. What are the things that have helped you? Also, very, very, very important piece right here. Think about your process and the supports that you so desperately wanted and needed, but could not find anywhere. My loves, that is a very, very important pocket. That is a big clue to show you what may be a big part of your purpose. This is part of what happened to me when I was going through my process. There was parts of it where I just wasn't finding anyone or anything that was quite resonating with the support that I was craving. And I knew that I had to just keep going. And my higher self was very adamant with me that once I got safe and stable enough, that I was going to be sharing the information as I know how to in that way, and to be very open and available to support people one on one, because I noticed there's not really a lot of that high level one on one support. I'm not saying there's none, there definitely are some gorgeous, supportive people out there, but I knew that it was going to be part of what I was meant to do. So it's that saying where they say if you're going to the bookstore or you're looking for a certain book or certain information and you cannot find it, it's because that's for you to write. Okay, my loves. And you don't have to specifically write it. You can do your videos, you can talk however you feel that you want to express or share. This message is coming forward quite strongly for you. Okay, my love. So this is part of you moving into your next levels and layers and roles. And this is taking me back to a video I did a few weeks ago around 3 stages of divine masculine's awakening. And it was this exact pocket where the masculine collective, there was some of you really, really at the forefront of this process. And this message is connected with you. I'll drop that video in the pinned comment as well. And then there was the third wave that's really in this process of going through the transformation, and the second wave and the third wave was really still sort of deep in the shadows and just starting to thaw out. Okay. But this main, bigger energy that's coming up is this wave of a majority of the masculine collective on our planet is going to be going through some levels of deep transformation. And I want to get some messages for that. If there's anything else that would like to come through, I'm a little shaky. What can we know? What can we be aware of for those of here watching with me for the masculine collective support, and also so for those of you watching for your internal messages? Okay. So we have the Ace of Swords, Eight of Cups, and the Star. This feels to me this where this empty well was opening. It feels like it's making space for that intuitive energy, that intuitive knowing, but also what I'm sensing as the divine masculine collective is released from that dense energy in the shadows that he was holding for the feminine collective, as he is released from that, as he's no longer bogged down in that, it opens up his intuition, his third eye, his crown, and his intuitive telepathic connection to the feminine, which will support his transformational process. It does feel that the masculines will be walking away from quite a bit, going through transformation in the middle of this process of walking towards the new day, more focused on actually wanting and aligning with the dream and the vision that his soul has always intended for him. When I feel into it energetically, this is something that the feminines have been doing very, very much at the forefront, and the masculines at the head of this wave. But this bigger wave that's going to be coming in is like, this is the process that's just starting to like come to the surface. This awareness, sort of like maybe this is like the first or second round of this wave. And so there's a bit more that's needing to open up, where it's like, it's in this process of really coming to the forefront of the awareness as those old patterns are no longer satisfying. The things that the masculines were doing to stay shut down and safe and stable were satisfying for a time, but they are no longer fulfilling or satisfying. So, as that awareness is awakening within them, they are beginning to search for more of what was always within them and what was always intended for them. And as they go through that sort of shedding process, the dream and the truth and the remembrance will get stronger and stronger and stronger over time. I want to bring in one more support from the mystical shaman deck for the masculines. Whoa. Okay. There's a lot. With the way these cards are coming, I feel like the masculines are really going through a lot at once. What I'm seeing and sensing in the energies is that as that core wound rip is sealed and the feminine on the other side of it is more stable and holding space for the masculine, he's going through an adjustment period where all of that was sort of frozen. So what they're showing me right now is, imagine a book that was frozen shut and it got opened, but it was frozen shut for so long that some of the pages are sticking together. So the information is all there and available, but it has to sort of get cleaned up and detoxified so that those pages can open up. And this is essentially the information that has always been within the masculines now has space to start to open up and clear up so he can receive and understand the information that has lived within him this entire time. So as he's thawing, as he's opening, as he's clearing up, this energy opens. Okay. As this opening happens, what would you like to share with us about this? Okay. Wow. Okay. I was guided to get 3. You got to be kidding me. I already kind of have a feeling. So the lower world came, and then the middle world came. And I was almost wondering, is it going to be the higher world? But I had quite a feeling. And then the fire came. And this is so incredibly perfect. You literally can't make it up. So we were talking about the masculines holding space in the shadows, in the lower world, right? And the fire, the flames, the transformation of these initiations has been working. And as these lower energies, as he's released from these lower energies, as the fire and the flames and the transformation support his process, as happened for the feminine, it's sort of like at the beginning of the dark night of the soul, the feminine is going through all of the fire and all of the transformation. And it looks like she's going through all of the initiation as he's holding space. But as she's ready to hold space now, his initiation of fire is occurring to support the transmutation of those shadows he's ready to release. And this ultimately releases him back to his heart into that middle world and helps him to stabilize into that middle ground where he will meet the divine feminine. Okay. And again, yes, there's this process where it's helping him go into his higher self and ultimately transmute and transform through the entire system so that he can meet back in the middle ground, balanced and harmonized within himself and within his connection. Okay, so this very much to me is signaling and signifying that the masculines are going through that transmutation and transformational process in a very new and deeper way. I mean, just look at all of this confirmation. Okay. Again, I've said there's some of you here that have already gone through this in a bigger way. So you may have like smaller, well, I'm not saying smaller, it's just your capacity is strong enough that you can handle this. And so you may feel it, but maybe you've already really gone through the most intense parts. And now you're handling this like you got you're able to navigate the reins and wield the power of it. But like again, you're going to be holding space for the masculines that are really embarking on the depth of this transformative part of the journey. Okay, my loves. Very, very beautiful. Thank you so much. I know that I'm going to be tuning in more and bringing more and more supports for the sacred divine masculines here for those of you following their journey as well, and also, of course, working on your internal union. But this is beautiful news and exciting times for our collective and for the ascension energies of our planet as we move into deeper states of unity, consciousness, and unconditional love. I appreciate your presence here and this time with you. Again, I'll drop that information for Patreon and whatever else I feel guided to do in the pinned comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're feeling. And thank you again so much for being present here with us. All right, my loves, have a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.